In the midst of a violent night storm, a husband ran away, leaving his wife alone at the edge of life and death. Just when everything seemed to collapse, a stranger's hand reached out to grasp hers, sparking a flame of hope. From that moment, Amara embarked on a journey to confront betrayal, prejudice, and the darkness within her heart, to discover a love that would not bow to the storm. This is not merely a story of love, but a declaration. No one deserves to be abandoned, and every heart has the right to live in the light. The fiercest storm in years swept across Vancouver's coastline, plunging the city into darkness and the roar of nature's fury. Winds howled through deserted streets. Rain lashed against glass, as though to shatter it into pieces. Branches tore from their roots and crashed onto the pavement, while waves from Burrard Inlet battered the shore, spraying white foam like the roar of a beast. Inside Vancouver Coastal Hospital, Amara Desjardins was struggling against the searing agony of labor. Her whole body trembled, hands gripping the bed rail so tightly that her fingers went numb, knuckles turning white. Sweat mingled with tears that streaked down her cheeks, blurring her vision. Tyler, I need you." Amara gasped through a spasm of pain. Her dark eyes darted frantically around the room, searching for her husband's figure. But Tyler McKenna, the man who had once vowed on their wedding day to love and protect her for life, stood near the window, his back turned, phone pressed to his ear, his voice urgent. "I told you, the contract has to be signed tomorrow morning. Storm or no storm. If we lose this shipment, our monthly sales collapse. I don't care about the weather. Ensure it gets done." Amara stared at him in despair. Her lips trembled as she tried to call out again, but her throat closed. Then another wave of pain ripped through her, wrenching a near scream from her chest. A nurse rushed over, trying to soothe her. "Stay strong, Amara. Breathe deeply. We're monitoring closely. The baby's heartbeat is weakening. The chief doctor is on his way." As the storm wailed outside and machines blared inside, Amara felt she was being swallowed whole. She turned toward her husband, clinging to the last shred of hope. "Tyler, please, I'm so scared. Hold my hand." But Tyler remained absorbed in his phone. Only when Dr. Laurent Nguyen entered and spoke gravely did he finally turn around. "It's complicated. We may need an emergency C-section. The baby's heartbeat is dropping dangerously. Tula spun, face pale, surgery. For God's sake, I have an important meeting tomorrow. This can't drag on like this. Isn't it supposed to be a normal delivery?" Dr. Nguyen frowned. "Mr. McKenna, your wife needs your focus and support right now. This is no time to think about work." Tyler stammered, but then his phone buzzed again. He looked at Amara, then at the screen flashing an incoming call. In just a few seconds, Amara saw the hesitation in his eyes, and then saw it vanish. "I need to take this outside. Just a minute." "Tyler, don't go," Amara cried out, her voice breaking in terror. But he had already turned away, striding toward the door, muttering, "If the car outside floods, it'll be ruined. I have to move it now." The door slammed shut. For a moment, Amara's world cracked open. Every sound crashed inside her head, thunder booming, rain hammering like sledgehammers, the erratic beeping of the fetal monitor. But above all was the icy void in her chest. The man she once called her husband had abandoned her at the edge of life and death. Amara drifted into unconsciousness as another wave of pain consumed her. Memories of happier days surged back the first time Tyler held her hand as they walked across Lionsgate Bridge, the promises of a home they would build, their laughter as they debated baby names. All of it shattered now, like glass underfoot. A hand rested gently on her shoulder. "Doctor," Nguyen leaned close, his voice steady. "Amara, focus on your breathing. We're here with you." But deep inside, Amara knew the bitter truth. The one person she longed for most had left her behind. Another contraction tore through her body, and she screamed. Tears streamed down her face, whether from physical agony or a bleeding heart. She could no longer tell. She heard the rush of nurses, the doctor ordering the OR to be prepared, the lights flickering from unstable backup power. Only one question echoed in her mind. Why did you abandon me now, of all times? Outside, the storm raged as if to tear the city apart. But inside the delivery room, Amara Desjardins faced a different tempest one, more brutal than any hurricane beyond those walls. Betrayal. Thunder cracked as if tearing the sky apart. At that moment, when Amara thought she was utterly alone, the delivery room door burst open. A gust of cold wind swept in with the figure of a tall man, his coat soaked with rain. Dark hair plastered wet against his forehead. His eyes scanned the chaos. Nurses rushing back and forth, machines blaring, and a woman caught between life and death. That man was Adrian Moreau. He had not come to the hospital for this. His company, Moreau Shipping, had just delivered emergency electrical equipment to support the hospital after the citywide blackout. While coordinating with the management, Adrian overheard a man in the parking lot screaming about his leather sedan being flooded, then bolting off, leaving behind his wife in labor inside the hospital. To Adrian, that sight was unbearable. He knew too well what it meant to lose loved ones in a storm. His parents had perished in an accident at sea. That memory haunted him, and when he heard faint cries from upstairs, he did not hesitate. He pushed the door open. "Who allowed you in here?" A nurse gasped, blocking his way. "I'm not leaving," Adrian replied, his deep voice steady, like an anchor dropped into the sea. He strode toward the bed, his gaze locking onto Amara's terrified eyes. Amara looked up and saw a stranger's face. His eyes were grey, the color of the ocean in a storm, yet strangely they carried no pity, only resolve. "I'll stay with you," Adrian said, low and firm. "You are not alone." Amara panted, her voice faint. I don't even know who you are." Adrian clasped her trembling hand with both of his. His hand was large, rough, calloused from real work, but astonishingly warm. "That doesn't matter. I'm Adrian, and I won't leave." Dr. Nguyen hesitated, then gave a slight nod. He saw that Amara steadied under this stranger's presence. In such dire circumstances, emotional strength was priceless. "If you truly intend to stay, help her focus," the doctor instructed. Adrian leaned down, murmuring into Amara's ear, "Listen to me. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Treat each contraction like a wave. You cannot fight the wave, but ride it until it passes." Amara tried to follow. Strangely, his voice was like a lighthouse cutting through fog, guiding her towards steadier breaths. The panic inside her slowly ebbed, replaced by a fragile but real sense of strength. The next contraction came. Amara nearly crushed Adrian's hand, but he did not flinch. Instead, he held tighter, as if pouring his strength into her. "That's it," Adrian whispered. "You're stronger than any storm out there." Tears spilled down Amara's face, not only from the pain, but because, for the first time, she no longer felt completely alone. Time blurred. Shouts filled the room. "Push again. Stay with us. The heartbeat is steady now." Amid sweat, blood, and tears, a cry finally pierced the storm outside. Elodie was born. Amara collapsed back against the bed, her body drained. A tear fell onto her forehead, not her own, but Adrian's. He was crying, silently, unable to stop. She's perfect," he whispered, eyes fixed on the child. Amara turned her head, seeing the stranger, this businessman, bow slightly, whispering a short prayer in French. "Mon Dieu, merci pour cette vie." "My God, thank you for this life." The nurse placed Elodie into Amara's arms. To her surprise, Adrian instinctively reached out to reassure himself that the baby was safe. The gesture was so natural that no one even questioned why a stranger cared so deeply. Amara looked at her child, then at this man. He was both a question and a savior in her eyes, a flicker of light in the storm. When things calmed, Dr. Nguyen approached Adrian and said quietly, "You're not family, but today, you saved them from despair. Thank you." Adrian only gave a slight nod, then turned to Amara. His gaze was firm yet gentle. "Amara, remember this. You are not alone. Even if he left, someone stayed." Amara choked back a sob. She had no strength for words of gratitude, but every syllable carved itself into her heart. Outside, the storm still raged. But another storm had subsided in that room, making way for a new beginning, one born of an unlikely bond no one had foreseen. Vancouver's sky was again clear and blue 3 days after the historic storm. But inside Amara Desjardins' heart, the shadows had never been darker. Cradling the small bassinet where baby Elodie slept soundly, Amara gently pushed open the door to her familiar East Vancouver apartment. The storm had shattered some windows, and rain was soaking into the floorboards and leaving stained patches. Yet that was not the worst of it. On the refrigerator door, a note clung weakly to the surface with tape. Tyler McKenna's hurried scrawl cut through her like a knife. "Don't look for me. I need time. I've taken the money. You're on your own." Amara froze. Her legs buckled as if drained of strength. The note slipped from her hand, hitting the tiled floor with a sound that seemed to echo the breaking of her entire life. "How could you do this to me?" she whispered, clutching Elodie tightly to her chest. But the little girl only stirred faintly before drifting back into her peaceful sleep, blissfully unaware that her world had just collapsed. In the kitchen, bills were piled high: rent, utilities, hospital fees. The refrigerator held only an almost expired milk carton and a cold leftover meal. Amara's wallet contained barely $40. A dizzy wave swept over her. From the joy of welcoming her child, she had plunged straight into the abyss of despair. What am I supposed to do now? Alone, with a newborn, no money, no husband, no one to lean on. Just then, a knock rattled the door. Amara hesitated, then peeked through the peephole. A petite woman with chestnut hair streaked with silver stood outside, holding a tray of steaming food. "Amara, I know you're in there. Don't use exhaustion as an excuse to hide from me." It was Sage Tremblay, a former colleague at the hospital and one of the few friends Amara still trusted. Amara cracked the door open. Sage slipped in without waiting, setting the tray of lasagna firmly on the table. "Good heavens, you've wasted away. You haven't been eating, have you?" "I'm fine." Amara forced a smile, though her voice quivered. Sage crossed her arms, eyes sharp. "Don't lie to me. After 20 years as a nurse, I can spot despair instantly. Tell me, where's Tyler?" At her husband's name, Amara couldn't hold back. Tears streamed down as the story tumbled out: Tyler abandoning her in labor, the note he left behind, the empty bank account. Sage was silent for a long moment, her usually stern face tightening with anger. Then she hissed through her teeth, "That coward. I suspected as much since he whined about making his coffee while you were nauseous." Amara collapsed onto the table, shoulders trembling. "I don't know what to do. I can't even afford Elodie's formula, let alone the hospital bills. I can't go back to work yet." Sage sat beside her and wrapped an arm around her friend. "Listen to me, Amara. You are not alone. I'm here. And there's someone else." Amara lifted her tear-streaked face. "Who?" Sage's lips curved into a sly smile, eyes glinting. "That stranger, Adrian Moreau. The whole maternity ward is still buzzing about how a shipping tycoon personally hauled a generator into the hospital, then stayed by your side through the birth. That wasn't just a passing kindness, Amara. He just happened to be there." Amara protested weakly. "He saw I needed help, so he helped. That's all." Sage arched a brow. "Really? Do you know you made a stranger cry? I saw how he looked at you in that delivery room. Trust me, that was not the gaze of someone who just happened to be there. You owe him thanks. Who knows, maybe even more." Amara flushed and shook her head. I can't. I have nothing to offer. He's wealthy, and I'm just—" "You're a brave woman who gave birth alone in the middle of a storm," Sage said. "I'd already be on my knees if I were a man. Now listen, go to Moreau Shipping. Thank him properly. You don't need to beg for anything. Express your gratitude. That's the first step." Amara tightened her hold on Elodie, gazing at her daughter's sleeping face. Inside her, pride and fear wrestled. For her, I can set aside my pride. If Adrian truly means to help, maybe this is the way out. She drew in a deep breath and whispered, "Maybe—" "You're right, Sage. I need to thank him." Outside the window, sunlight streamed in after the storm, casting a gentle glow across mother and child. But Amara knew shadows still awaited on the road ahead. The headquarters of Moreau Shipping Group loomed over downtown Vancouver, rising proudly among glass towers, glinting in the sunday. To passers-by, it was a symbol of financial might and global maritime trade. But to Amara Desjardins, it felt like an untouchable fortress. One step inside and all her poverty and insecurity would be laid bare. She wore a worn sweater, faded jeans with frayed knees, and flats still damp from the rain. In her hands was a baby carrier where little Elodie dozed softly. As she walked into the grand lobby, her heartbeat raced half from shame, half from fear. The polished reception desk mirrored the image of a frail, single mother trying hard to appear strong. The blonde receptionist, with scarlet nails, cast a doubtful glance up and down Amara's figure. "Good morning. How may I help you?" Amara drew a deep breath, summoning all her courage. I'd like to see Mr. Adrian Moreau." "My name is Amara Desjardins." The receptionist raised a brow, her polite smile frosty. "Mr. Moreau is very busy. Do you have an appointment?" "No, but I only want to thank him. He helped me at the hospital last week." Before she could finish, the receptionist shook her head. "I'm sorry. Mr. Moreau doesn't see strangers without an appointment. I can book you a slot sometime next month if—" "Amara?" The warm baritone behind her made Amara's heart skip a beat. She turned, and there he was, Adrian Moreau. Dressed in a perfectly tailored charcoal suit, he was far from the rain-soaked man she remembered. No mud-stained coat, no dripping hair, only the commanding presence of a successful businessman. Yet his grey eyes were unchanged, steady, gentle, just as they had been when he held her hand through pain. "It's really you?" Adrian's face lit up as he strode over. "I thought I wouldn't see you again." Amara lowered her gaze, flustered. I only came to thank you. I owe you so much. If it weren't for you that night—" Adrian lifted a hand, gently stopping her. "Don't call me Mr. Moreau. Call me Adrian. And I didn't do much. The strong one was you." He bent down to glance at Elodie sleeping in her carrier. His stern features softened instantly. "And this must be the little princess who silenced the whole hospital with her first cry." Amara nodded, her cheeks burning. She didn't know why, but felt safe and unsettled in this man's presence. Adrian looked back up, his voice deep and decisive. "Amara, I have a proposal. Work for me." Amara blinked in shock. "What? Me?" "Yes. I need a new coordination assistant. My last one just resigned. I heard you studied business administration before becoming a nurse. I need someone reliable and organized. You have the skills, I believe that." Amara shook her head quickly. "But I just gave birth. I have a baby. I can't possibly—" Adrian cut her off. "I've considered that. I own a cottage on private land in North Shore. Quiet, safe, only 20 minutes from the office. If you agree, you and Elodie can stay there. Work part-time from home. Come in only when necessary. I'll cover all expenses. This isn't charity, Amara. This is real work." Amara felt dizzy. A job, a home, a way out of despair. But fear clawed at her. Why would a wealthy man go so far for me? What hidden price might come with this? She whispered, I don't understand. Why would you do this for a stranger?" Adrian was silent momentarily, his eyes lingering on Elodie as she stirred in her sleep. When he finally spoke, his voice was low, almost a confession. "Because I saw you fight for your daughter's life in the middle of the storm. That moment changed me. No one deserves to face that alone. And also because—" He paused, lips pressed tight, debating whether to say more. Then he shook his head and smiled. "Because I believe in you." Amara sat frozen, her heart pounding. Part of her longed to say yes, another part whispered caution. Then Elodie whimpered softly, reminding her mother of what she needed most. A stable home, milk, warmth. Amara clenched her hand, inhaling deeply. "All right. I'll try." Adrian's smile broke like sunlight after the storm. "Good. Then it's settled. Amara, from today on, a new door has opened." She looked at him, her heart swelling with both gratitude and fear. She knew that stepping through this door would change her life forever. The small cottage in North Shore that Adrian Moreau had given Amara and baby Elodie was like another world entirely. Perched on a gentle hillside overlooking Burrard Inlet, the white-painted house with its slate-blue roof was encircled by lavender gardens. In the mornings, sparrows sang them awake. In the evenings, the warm glow from its windows made the house seem like the safest refuge on earth. Amara began working for Adrian under a flexible arrangement. Mornings spent checking emails and scheduling meetings from her laptop by the window. Afternoons at the main office when contracts or discussions required her presence. Adrian kept his word. He never treated her as someone repaying a debt, but trusted her with real responsibilities. Little by little, Amara's fears melted away. Elodie thrived, healthy, smiling, safe. For the first time in months, Amara allowed herself to breathe, to think that perhaps she had finally escaped the nightmare named Tyler McKenna. But nightmares have a way of finding their way back. One misty autumn morning, heavy knocking shattered the calm. Not Adrian's familiar, polite rhythm, not Sage Tremblay's hurried yet warm rap. This pounding was harsh, threatening. Clutching Elodie, Amara approached the door with dread. She peered through the crack and froze. Standing on the porch was Tyler McKenna. He was gaunt, unshaven, his coat rumpled. Yet his pale blue eyes gleamed with that calculating glint she knew too well. "Amara, open the door. We need to talk." Amara fastened the lock, leaving only a small slit open. "What do you want now, Tyler?" He forced a crooked smile. "I've been thinking. I was wrong to leave, but I want to return now to be a husband and father. Give me another chance." Amara clutched Elodie tighter, shaking her head. "You abandoned me in labor, emptied the account, and vanished. And now you think a few words of regret earn you forgiveness." The smile dropped. His tone hardened. "Don't think I know who you're living with. The whole city's talking. Amara Desjardins landed millionaire Adrian Moreau. What's your plan? Use my daughter as a stepping stone?" Amara choked back fury. "Your daughter? You haven't laid eyes on her once." Tyler's voice rose, bitter and sharp. "She's my blood. I have legal rights. And if you don't let me in, I'll take you to court. I'll prove you're an unfit mother who abandoned her husband for money." Amara's heart lurched. Her months of fragile strength cracked. His words struck her deepest insecurities: unpaid bills, the judgmental stares of others. Each accusation felt like a knife twisting. The door shuddered under his push, then the growl of an engine cut through. A black Mercedes swung into the drive, brakes screeching. Adrian stepped out. His usually calm face was taut, eyes steely as they locked on Tyler. He strode up the porch, positioning himself before the cottage door. His voice was deep, unyielding. "Is there a problem here?" Tula sneered. "Ah, the tycoon himself. I want to see my wife and child. Family business. No need for outsiders." Amara's voice trembled, but her words were firm. "Wrong, Tyler. I've filed for divorce. We're finished." Adrian turned slightly, resting a protective hand on Amara's shoulder. His voice was quiet, but cold. "You heard her. Leave." Tyler's mouth curled into a snarl. "We'll see. I've got lawyers. I'll take the girl back. She carries my name, McKenna, not Moreau." He backed toward his battered car. Before starting the engine, he leaned out the window and shouted, "Get ready, Amara. I'll make the court see you for what you are, a gold digger. I'll take back what's mine." The car roared away, leaving a choking cloud of exhaust. Amara stood frozen, clutching Elodie as her body trembled. The abyss yawned again. Fear, helplessness, shame. Adrian turned to her, his gaze softening. His hand pressed reassuringly against her back as he whispered, "He won't take her. I promise." Amara looked up, eyes wet. "You don't understand. Tyler isn't just a coward. He knows how to twist society's judgment. To them, I'm just a single mother living off a rich man. Who will the court believe?" Adrian's grip tightened on her shoulder. "The court will believe the truth. And the truth is, you're strong, love your daughter, and are not alone. Amara, this time I'll stand beside you, no matter what comes." Elodie stirred, opening her eyes slightly, as though sensing the storm about to break. Amara kissed her daughter's forehead, whispering, "I will protect you, even if I have to face the world itself." And deep down, she knew. The actual storm had only just begun. A cold wind from Burrard Inlet swept through the glass corridors of Moreau Shipping Group, making Amara shiver as she stacked a pile of files at the end of the day. The orange-red sunset glow stretched across the polished floor, reflecting her slender figure by the dark wooden desk. Elodie was with Sage for the evening, giving Amara time to finish scheduling meetings for the week ahead. In recent weeks, her new rhythm of life had brought a fragile sense of peace, though the shadow of Tyler's threats still haunted her. He had disappeared after showing up at the cottage, but the silence felt less like relief and more like the stillness before a greater storm. Suddenly, the office door swung open without warning. A wave of heavy perfume flooded the room, and Amara looked up. The woman who entered seemed to shift the light. Golden hair cascading in waves, a scarlet-fitted dress, elegant and ostentatious, heels clicking in a confident, commanding rhythm. Amara felt like a pale shadow against such a dazzling presence in that instant. The woman stopped mid-room, her eyes scanning before settling on Amara. Not openly hostile, but scrutinizing and proud, as if she were accustomed to surveying the world from above. Her voice rang out, clear and brimming with authority. "Is Adrian here?" Amara faltered for a moment. The stranger walked as if the entire floor belonged to her. Steadying herself, Amara replied, "I'm sorry, he's in a meeting. Do you have an appointment?" A slight curve tugged at the woman's lips. "I don't need one. I'm Vivienne Rousseau." The name struck Amara like a heavy bell. Sage had mentioned it once in hushed tones while recalling Adrian's past. Vivienne was not merely an ex-lover. She had been his official fiancée. A daughter of the powerful Rousseau family of Montreal, their wealth and political influence were legendary. Before Amara could gather her thoughts, footsteps sounded behind her. Adrian emerged from the meeting room, undoing his suit jacket, his face still carrying the business strain. The moment he saw Vivienne, his calm expression stiffened. "Vivienne," his voice dropped. "I didn't expect to see you here." "Adrian," she replied smoothly, smiling as though they had parted only yesterday. "You never answer my messages, so I had no choice but to come myself." The air grew heavy. Amara lowered her gaze, gathering papers, ready to slip out. But Adrian raised a hand. "Amara, stay. This is my office. You have every right to be here." Vivienne's eyes flicked toward her, sharp as a blade, though her lips maintained a polite curve. "Ah, so this is Amara Desjardins. I've heard so much. How delightful to finally meet you." Amara drew a breath. "Good evening, Miss Rousseau." Her voice was soft, but steady. Vivienne stepped closer, stopping just a few paces away. Her gaze swept over Amara, dissecting every detail of her modest attire. "You do have unusual taste, Adrian. After 3 years, leaving the upper echelons only to choose someone so unexpected." "Enough, Vivienne," Adrian cut in, his tone sharp. "Say what you came for." Her smile didn't falter. She paced the office leisurely, trailing her fingers along the bookshelves, before pausing by the window where the sunset bled across the bay. "My purpose? Simple. I care about you. I heard about your little court case with Amara's ex-husband. The city is buzzing. A man of your stature entangled in such a sordid domestic scandal. Adrian, you must realize what this does to your reputation." Heat flushed Amara's cheeks. "It isn't a sordid scandal. It's my life, and my daughter's." Vivienne turned, her glance slicing through Amara like glass. "Exactly, which makes it dangerous. Moreau Shipping's partners don't want their names dragged into gossip. I've already heard whispers at recent galas Adrian's name left unspoken, invitations quietly withdrawn. Haven't you noticed?" Adrian crossed his arms, eyes like ice. "My reputation is not your concern, and I don't measure it in party invitations." Vivienne laughed softly, but the blade in her words was exposed now. "You romanticize everything. But reality, Adrian, is governed by harsh rules. You may have cast me aside, along with our engagement, but you cannot cast aside the principles of our world. Choose the wrong companion, and your entire career wavers." Each word struck Amara's most profound insecurity. She had long feared being a burden to Adrian. Now, hearing it from the lips of a woman who had shared his life for 3 years, her chest tightened painfully. "What do you want, Vivienne?" Adrian snapped, sharper than usual. "What do I want?" She tilted her head. "I want to help, to save you from a terrible mistake." Amara, her gaze softened, though laced with calculation. If you truly care for Adrian, think of him. Step aside before this becomes a disaster. He can still support you and your child financially. But don't drag him into your battles. That way, both sides save face. A heavy silence fell. Amara's pulse thundered, her vision blurring. Vivienne's words pierced the secret fear she carried that she was only a shadow Adrian would sacrifice for. Enough. Adrian's voice cracked the silence like a blade. He strode forward, positioning himself squarely before Amara, a living shield. Vivienne, I told you 3 years ago we are finished. Let me repeat it now. My life and choices are no longer yours. Vivienne studied him, the smile fading, leaving her eyes cold. Very well, Adrian. I only hope you won't regret it. Remember that I warned you when your empire trembles and power turns its back. She turned on her heel, her heels striking the floor like coffin nails, and swept out. The office fell silent. Amara remained frozen, staring at the ground, her hands trembling. Adrian turned, gently clasping her hand. Don't listen to her. None of it is true. You're not pulling me down. You're the only thing keeping me standing. Amara lifted her tear-brimmed eyes. But what if she's right? What if being with me costs you everything? Adrian cupped her cheek, gaze unwavering. Amara, I lost my parents to a storm before I could say what I needed to say. I won't let fear silence me again. I choose you. No matter what the world says, I choose you. Yet deep within, Amara felt the seed of doubt had already taken root, and it would not be easily uprooted. 3 weeks after the encounter with Vivienne Rousseau, Amara still could not shake the feeling of a dark shadow looming above her. Vivienne's words echoed relentlessly in her mind. If you truly care for Adrian, step aside before this turns into a disaster. Every time Adrian smiled in reassurance, every time he gently cradled Elodie, Amara's chest ached. Instead of comfort, she feared that his tenderness would soon become a burden, dragging him down. Gradually, she began to distance herself. She claimed the baby kept her busy to avoid dinners with him, and pleaded exhaustion to decline evening walks. They looked like a happy little family to outsiders, but Amara could sense the cracks widening between them. Adrian never pushed. He quietly stepped back, respecting her silence, but his patience only deepened her guilt. Then the second storm struck wilder than the one that had brought Adrian into her life. Emergency broadcasts blared across the news, warning of a fast-moving low-pressure system slamming into the coast of British Columbia, with winds exceeding 120 kilometers per hour. The city was urged to stay indoors, stockpile water, flashlights, and food. That evening, Amara sat in the cottage, rocking a drowsy Elodie, when her phone buzzed. A message from Nova, Adrian's longtime manager. Amara, I'm worried. Despite the storm warnings, Adrian just took his boat out an hour ago. He isn't answering the radio. I had to tell you immediately. The blood drained from Amara's face. She scrambled to call Adrian repeatedly, but only static and silence answered. A cold wave of terror swept through her. Without a second thought, she threw on a coat, buckled Elodie into her car seat, and sped toward the harbor. Wind battered the roads, rain hammered the windshield. Fallen branches littered the street. Her grip tightened on the wheel as her heart pounded. Don't let me lose you, Adrian. Don't let history repeat itself. Don't abandon me like Tyler did. The harbor was chaos. Rescue crews in rain gear readied lifeboats, searchlights sweeping the churning water. Nova was shouting orders to the crew with silver hair plastered with rain. She rushed to Amara, voice raised against the storm. We caught a weak signal, but now the radio's gone dead. The engine might be out. My God, why would he risk this? Amara nearly sobbed. What can I do, Nova? I can't just stand here while he's out there. Nova gripped her shoulder, her own face pale but resolute. We'll handle the rescue. Right now, you need to stay strong for your daughter. Elodie needs her mother. Leave the sea to us. But Amara's eyes were fixed on the storm-tossed horizon, where towering waves devoured every light. Desperation surged within her. She remembered the radio room, the one Adrian always used when sailing. She rushed inside, grabbed the mic, and tuned frantically through static. Adrian, can you hear me? It's Amara. Please, answer me. Only silence. She bit her lip until blood came, then screamed louder, Adrian, you cannot give up. You still have Elodie. You still have me. We haven't had our peace yet. You cannot leave me now. A crackle then, faint beneath the roar of wind. A voice, Amara, hear you. Her heart nearly stopped. Tears blurred her vision. Adrian, where are you? Are you safe? Boat. Engines dead. Winds too strong. Only the sail left. About 2 nautical miles out. But the waves. His words broke, shredded by the storm. Amara clutched the mic, trembling. Hold on. Remember what you taught me, ride the waves. Don't fight them. Adrian, I love you. Do you hear me? I love you, and I need you to come back. Please don't leave me. Don't leave her. Static swallowed his voice. Amara collapsed over the radio, sobbing, her heart in a vice. Outside, lifeboats tore into the sea, searchlights flashing desperately. Minutes stretched into an eternity. Then a light pierced the rain. A rescue vessel tows a battered sailboat with its mast broken. A man hunched on deck beneath a blanket, shivering. Amara cried out, bolting down the pier despite the wind lashing her face. When Adrian's feet touched solid ground, she flung herself into his arms, weeping. You fool. You nearly killed me with fear. He held her tight, his body icy, his voice ragged but fierce. I'm sorry. I couldn't bear your distance. I thought if I went to sea I'd find an answer. But the storm. Amara silenced him with a trembling kiss, salted with tears and rain. The answer is here, Adrian. It's me. I was a fool to let Vivienne's words shake me, but now I know I cannot live without you. He crushed her to him, whispering through shivers, I love you. I love both of you. No storm will ever take away what matters most to me. They stood there, drenched beneath the howling wind, clinging to each other as if defying the storm. And for the first time, Amara felt she no longer had anything to fear from the raging skies. That morning, Vancouver's sky was grey, like a mourning veil. Amara stood before the mirror in the cottage bedroom, her hands trembling as she adjusted the simple navy dress Adrian had bought her. She was never one for finery, but today in a courtroom every detail would become evidence for strangers to judge. She wanted to appear strong and composed, yet the reflection staring back was of a woman trying to hide the tremor in her eyes. Nova carried Elodie outside, leaving Amara a moment of silence. She pressed a hand to her chest, breathing deeply. For her, I must be strong. Nothing will take her from me. Not Tyler, not Vivienne, not the whispers. Adrian entered, adjusting his tie, and paused when he saw her. He walked over, taking her hand. Are you ready? Amara shook her head faintly, her lips quivering. I'm scared, Adrian. I'm scared they'll believe Tyler's lies. He tilted her chin upward, forcing her to meet his eyes. They'll see the truth. They'll see a mother who never stopped fighting for her child. And you won't be alone. I'll be right here. His promise anchored her against the rising tide. The Vancouver family court was small, but that morning it was packed. Reporters had seized on the story of shipping tycoon Adrian Moreau, entangled in a custody battle with a single mother, and had filled the gallery early. Amara felt every scrutinizing stare as she entered beside Adrian. Across the aisle sat Tyler, immaculately dressed in a borrowed suit, hair slicked back. At his side was his attorney, a tall, severe woman whose cold gaze bore the confidence of seasoned battles. Gone was the ragged figure who had once appeared at the cottage. Today, Tyler looked every inch the responsible man he wanted the world to believe he was. The sight stabbed Amara's chest. He had prepared well, and she would now have to prove the obvious that she, not he, had truly protected their child. The trial began. Judge Henley, a silver-haired woman with sharp eyes, took her seat. We are here to review Mr. Tyler McKenna's petition for emergency custody of Amara Desjardins. Both parties will maintain order and provide only evidence and testimony relevant to the child's best interest. Tyler's lawyer rose first. Your Honor, my client admits mistakes in the past, but now wishes to fulfill his responsibilities as a father. Meanwhile, Miss Amara Desjardins moved into the home of a wealthy man mere days after giving birth. She relies entirely on the finances and influence of Mr. Adrian Moreau, a relationship neither stable nor official, posing potential harm to the child's development. We request custody be granted to Mr. C. McKenna, who can provide a more stable, appropriate family environment. Amara's fists clenched, heat rising to her face. Adrian squeezed her hand gently, a silent reminder to breathe. Her attorney, Sarah Martinez, stood. "Your Honor, let us look at the facts. On the night Amara gave birth during the storm, Mr. McKenna abandoned her, leaving the hospital to save his car from flooding. He disappeared for 2 months, emptied the joint account, leaving mother and newborn in desperate conditions. During that time, Amara raised her child alone, with the help of friends, and later secured stable employment at Moreau Shipping. Mr. Moreau did not keep her. He hired her in an official position, paid her transparently, and provided housing so she could work and care for her child. The truth is, Amara has always put Elodie first. Tyler returned only when he saw an opportunity for himself. Murmurs rippled through the room. Tyler shifted, face red, but his lawyer pressed his shoulder, urging restraint. Judge Henley took notes, her eyes steady on Amara. "Miss Desjardins, please take the stand." Her legs felt unsteady as she rose. She swore to tell the truth, then met the judge's gaze. "Describe your circumstances during childbirth and afterward." Amara's voice shook, but her words were clear. "That night, the storm was raging. I was in pain, terrified, begging my husband to stay. But Tyler, he walked out. I thought I would die from the agony and from the abandonment. If Adrian hadn't come in, held my hand, I don't know if I could have given birth. When I returned home, I discovered Tyler had emptied our account, leaving only a note. 'You're on your own.' I had no money, no food, no milk for my child. I was desperate. Tears streamed down, but she pressed on. 'Elodie is my entire world. I vowed to protect her at any cost. I accepted when Adrian offered me work and shelter, not for comfort, but because my daughter needed safety. I wasn't being kept. I worked, earned, and loved my child with everything in me. No one can question that." The courtroom hushed, the judge's pen scratching steadily across the page. Tyler's lawyer rose again, eyes narrowed. "You say you love your child. But did you not place her in a questionable environment by living with a man who is not your husband, mere days after birth? Is that a moral example for a child?" Amara drew a deep breath, then looked her squarely in the eye. "A moral example isn't about maintaining a facade of family. It's about showing my daughter that her mother chose love, kindness, and honesty over a man who abandoned her in her most vulnerable moment." A ripple of agreement stirred in the gallery. The judge banged her gavel for silence. Then Adrian stood, calm, immaculate in his suit, his eyes blazing. "Your Honor, I am not Elodie's biological father, but I witnessed her first cry. I was there when Amara was abandoned. From that day, I considered this child my own. I am prepared to provide for her, love her, and protect her for life. I beg this court to ask, who was there when Elodie needed most? The father who fled, or the man who held her mother's hand through the storm?" The air thickened. Tyler leapt up, shouting, "She is my blood. No one can replace me." "Mr. McKenna, order," the judge barked, slamming her gavel. The trial dragged on for hours. Friends testified, as did Dr. Laurent Ween and Sage, confirming Tyler's abandonment and Adrian's steadfast presence. At last, Judge Henley rose, voice firm. "I have reviewed the evidence. Mr. McKenna admits to abandoning his wife and child during labor, draining his finances, and disappearing for 2 months. This raises serious doubts about his capacity for stable care. Miss Desjardins, though faced with hardship, has demonstrated dedication to her daughter. Mr. Moreau, while not the biological father, has provided consistent support and clear commitment. In the child's best interests, custody is awarded to the mother, Amara Desjardins. Mr. A. McKenna is granted only supervised visitation, contingent upon completing parenting and counseling programs." Court adjourned. The gavel's strike rang like liberation. Amara collapsed into her chair, tears flowing. Adrian wrapped his arm around her, whispering, "You won. We won. Elodie is safe now. Across the aisle, Tyler's face twisted with rage before he stormed out without looking back. Amara did not follow his shadow. She looked only at the arms holding her tight, which had never once let her go. 6 months had passed since the court's ruling. Life seemed to have settled into a fragile peace. Elodie was growing strong, laughing more than crying, crawling across the cottage floors and pulling herself up on furniture. Amara had found her rhythm at Moreau Shipping, proving her organizational skill and earning the respect of colleagues. Adrian appeared morning and night, holding mother and child, as if nothing in the world mattered more. Yet inside Amara, a shadow kept growing. At first, it was just the jolt in her chest when she looked at the engagement ring on her hand and felt panic instead of joy. Then it became sleepless nights, staring at the ceiling while Elodie dreamed beside her, whispering to herself, "Do I deserve all this? Or am I just living on Adrian's pity and impulse?" Sage noticed first. One morning, arriving with coffee, she found Amara sitting blankly on the porch, eyes distant as Elodie played on the grass. "You're doing it again," Sage said bluntly, setting the thermos down. Amara blinked. "Doing what?" "Pulling yourself out of happiness. You always do this when things start to stabilize. You build walls. You drown in fear. You're unworthy. I can see it plain as day." Amara stayed silent. Sage sighed, dropping into the chair beside her. "Listen to me. You can't live as a victim forever. Adrian isn't here to rescue you. He chose you. He loves you. You need to believe that, or you'll destroy it all." The words echoed in Amara's head for days. But instead of banishing the shadow, they only deepened her confusion. One evening, after tucking Elodie to sleep, Adrian sat at the kitchen table with a folder of wedding plans. Smiling, he pointed to a design sketch of lavender arrangements. "I thought lavender suits you, gentle yet strong, just like you." Amara looked down at the glossy pages, her chest tightening. She set her pen down, her voice trembling. "Adrian, let's postpone the wedding." The air froze. Adrian lifted his head slowly. "Postpone." Amara avoided his gaze. "We've known each other less than a year. Everything happened so fast. Storms, trials, Elodie. I'm afraid we're rushing into this because of circumstance, not because we're truly ready." Silence. Adrian walked to the window, staring out at the black bay. Then he turned, voice calm but heavy with pain. "Tell me the truth, Amara. Do you not love me anymore?" The question cut her like a blade. Tears welled. "No, I love you. So much it terrifies me. I'm afraid you'll realize I'm not worthy one day, that you could find someone better, less broken." Adrian stepped forward, knelt before her, and clasped her hands. "Listen to me. I've had it all before: money, status, relationships people envied. But I never felt alive until I walked into that delivery room and saw you fight for your daughter's life. I don't love you because you're flawless. I love you because you're brave and real, and give me a reason to be a better man." Amara's tears spilled over. "But what if I disappoint you? What if one day I can't carry the weight?" Adrian brushed the tears from her cheeks, his eyes unwavering. "Then I'll carry it with you. Marriage isn't a promise. Never stumble. It's a promise always to rise together. I don't need you to be strong all the time. I need you to believe this love is real." Her sob caught in her throat. The walls of doubt within her began to crack. But the shadow had not entirely lifted. That night, after Adrian had fallen asleep, Amara stepped onto the porch. A crescent moon hung like a silver blade over the sea. She thought of her parents, simple farmers in Quebec, who had taught her resilience, but whose struggles had left scars of failure. She thought of Tyler, who once promised her everything, then abandoned her in agony. Memories pressed down like lead, convincing her that happiness was fragile, an illusion that could shatter at any moment. From inside came the soft stirrings of Elodie, murmuring "Mama" in her sleep. Amara turned, watching her daughter's tiny chest rise and fall, and placed a hand over her own heart. "I can't let fear rule me forever. She needs a mother who dares to believe in love. Adrian needs a partner willing to walk beside him, not a shadow forever retreating." The next day, Amara arrived at the office with warm pastries. Adrian sat slumped over paperwork. Weary from endless meetings, she set the plate before him and took his hand. I thought all night. I don't want to postpone. I need to ensure we face it together, whatever comes. Adrian looked up, grey eyes brightening. He gripped her hand tightly, whispering, I've never doubted that, and I promise I'll remind you every day. In that moment, the shadow inside Amara was no longer a pit threatening to swallow her, but only a memory, a reminder of fear she once carried, and the choice she had made to be brave. April brought spring winds sweeping along the coast of Vancouver Island, the evening sun gilding each gentle wave against the rocky shore. At Lighthouse Point, the century-old white tower that had long guided ships into the bay wore a new attire. Wreaths of white and purple flowers twined along its railings, ribbons draped across the wooden walkway to the garden, paper lanterns swaying like tiny stars in the breeze. In the small room at the base of the lighthouse, Amara stood before the mirror, her white gown cascading to the floor, shoulders veiled in lace as delicate as mist. Sage had tucked sprigs of lavender into her dark hair. On her finger, the engagement ring glimmered, signaling the close of one journey and the beginning of another. Sage adjusted the hem of her dress, grinning. You're radiant. I can't tell if people will watch you or the groom. Amara laughed softly, though tears pricked her eyes. I never thought I'd see this day. Not after everything. It's because of everything that this day matters. Sage placed a hand on her shoulder. Don't forget, you chose this happiness. Now walk to it. Outside, the strings began to play, tender notes leading the way. Amara drew a deep breath and climbed the spiral stairs. When the door opened, the garden bathed in sunset light awaited. There were no hundreds of guests, just 50 or so close friends, trusted partners of Adrian, and those who had walked alongside Amara through her trials. In the front row, Nova held little Elodie, dressed in a white frock with a flower crown, looking like an angel. Spotting her mother, she squealed "Mama" and waved, sending laughter through the crowd. But Amara saw only one person, Adrian. He stood at the end of the flower-strewn aisle, clad in charcoal grey, lavender tie to match the blossoms. His grey eyes locked on her, glowing as if beholding a miracle. When their gazes met, all sounds vanished, the music, the whispers leaving only the rhythm of their hearts. Step by step, memories returned. The storm, his hand clasping hers in the delivery room, the morning of despair before Tyler's note, Elodie's laughter in Adrian's arms, the nights she almost surrendered to doubt. Each moment carried her here. When she reached him, Adrian extended his hand. Hello, Amara Desjardins. She placed hers in his, trembling yet sure. Hello, Adrian Moreau. The officiant smiled, voice warm. Today, before the sea and the guiding light of this lighthouse, we gather to witness Amara and Adrian exchange vows. Adrian spoke first, without notes, his voice trembling with emotion. Amara, I thought I was the protector from the first day, but it was you who saved me. You taught me courage, taught me love without condition. I promise to be your safe harbor when you are weary, your beacon when you are lost. I will hold your hand through every storm, because you are not just my love, you are my home. Amara wept openly, clutching his hand. Adrian, you came into my life like a storm, but stayed as light. You saw me at my weakest, believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself. I promise to build a home of laughter for Elodie, the children we may have, for us. I won't promise always to be strong, but I promise always to be true. You are my only choice, today and forever. The waves echoed like applause. The officiant lifted his hands. By love and trust, I now declare you husband and wife. Adrian, you may kiss the bride. Adrian lifted her face and kissed her. Cheers erupted. Elodie clapped, her laughter mingling with the ocean breeze. When the kiss broke, Amara leaned her forehead to his, whispering, You are my eternity. His smile shone through unshed tears. And you are my reason to exist. The celebration continued beneath stars and lantern light. Yet for Amara, only one truth mattered. Her family was finally whole. No more Tyler, no more Vivienne, no whispers of doubt. Only love steadfast as the lighthouse guiding them through storms yet to come. That summer, Lighthouse Point glowed each night like a flame of happiness. Amara often carried Elodie to the balcony, listening as Adrian spoke of voyages across the Pacific. Their laughter, carried on the wind, gave the seaside town reason to believe love could withstand any storm. But peace often awakens envy. One afternoon, while Adrian was at the office, Amara received an unmarked envelope at the cottage. Her heart sank as she unfolded the photocopied complaint, the name on it, Tyler McKenna. He had returned. The document accused Adrian of undue influence, using wealth and power to steal fatherhood. Tyler demanded the court revisit custody, claiming his blood right had been violated. Amara clutched the papers, her hand cold. Tyler's twisted face in court flashed in her mind. She had known he would not give up, but not that he would strike again so soon. That night, Adrian read the papers, eyes hardening. I expected this. Tyler cannot accept the truth, it wounds his fragile pride. Amara's voice trembled. But what if? What if the court listens this time? What if the public sides with him? Adrian placed his warm hand over hers. The court saw the evidence. His lies cannot erase it. I have lawyers. I have truth. Most of all, we have each other. Yet unease lingered in Amara's chest. A week later, a local paper exploded with a headline, Heir of Moreau Shipping, True Love or Power Play. The article painted Amara as a gold digger, claiming Adrian had bought her love. Their private moments, her move into the cottage, her work contract were twisted into scandal. Amara's hands shook as she read, They're making me look like a parasite. Adrian slammed the paper down. This reeks of Vivienne. She has media ties in Montreal. She and Tyler, they've joined forces. That night, Nova brought a file. We've traced them. Tyler lives on his mother's money. Vivienne's back from Europe, bitter that Adrian never returned. They have motive, and they're working together. Amara buried her face in her hands. They want to use Elodie as a pawn. They don't care about her. They want revenge. Nova's gaze cut sharp as steel, yet full of faith. You are not alone anymore. But remember, their greatest weapon isn't the lies outside. It's the doubt inside you. Amara lifted her head. Nova was right. The real battle was in her heart. Then we'll fight. Not just for Elodie, but for the truth. Adrian's grip tightened on her hand. And this time, I won't only defend. I'll expose them. The lighthouse beam swept across the sea, a reminder that light would guide them even in darkness. Weeks later, the courtroom overflowed with reporters. Tyler, polished and smug, sat flanked by his lawyer. In the gallery, Vivienne is in an elegant black dress, lips curved in silent challenge. Tyler's counsel thundered. Elodie's environment is unsafe, hounded by the press, burdened by scandal. She deserves stability, not to be raised as a Millionaire's publicity stunt. Sarah Martinez rose, voice sharp and steady. Let's remember history. Tyler McKenna abandoned his wife during childbirth, drained her finances, and vanished. Without Mr. Moreau's help, Amara and her child might not have survived. Who truly exploited whom? Applause broke before the judge silenced the court. Tyler took the stand, feigning remorse. I panicked back then, but I've changed. Now I can give my daughter a scandal-free home. Moreau may have money, but can money shield a child from gossip? I am her blood. Amara's stomach twisted as she glanced at Elodie in Nova's arms, innocent, smiling, unaware she was the prize in a war. When it was her turn, Amara spoke through trembling lips but steady eyes. Elodie doesn't need a facade of stability. She needs love. Tyler claims he's changed, yet he allies with the very woman who tried to destroy me to humiliate me. That is not fatherhood. That is selfishness. Vivienne's derisive laugh rippled through the crowd. Amara pressed on. I have feared, doubted, but I have never stopped loving my daughter, and I will not let anyone reduce that love to scandal. Then Adrian stood. His voice rang clear. I am not Elodie's blood, but I was there when she was born. I saw her abandoned. From that day, I vowed never to abandon them. I love this child as my own. If you want to judge who can give her a home, judge by actions, not words. The gallery buzzed with emotion, but Tyler's lawyer struck again. flashing doctored photos of Amara with Vivienne twisted to suggest Amara had admitted being a burden. Amara's heart nearly stopped. Doubt clawed at her chest. The judge called a recess. Amara wept in Adrian's arms. If they believe those pictures, I'll lose her. Adrian's eyes blazed. Then we'll reveal the truth. They forgot truth has witnesses. 3 days later, Nova delivered a USB. Inside, video of Tyler and Vivienne plotting at a bar. Vivienne's voice was unmistakable. We just need to shake Amara. Twist the photos, add a story. If Adrian loses face, you get your child. I get my man back. In court, the video played. Silence fell, broken only by gasps. Tyler's face drained of color. Vivienne's smile froze. Judge Henley's gavel cracked. This is proof of collusion to pervert justice. The petition is dismissed. Custody remains with Amara Desjardins. Mr. McKenna will be investigated for perjury. Case closed. The gavel struck like thunder. Amara collapsed into Adrian's arms, sobbing. It's over. Elodie is safe. Outside, the press now hailed Amara as a symbol of resilience. Letters flooded in from women who had been abandoned, thanking her for showing that survival and love were possible. At sunset by Lighthouse Point, Amara stood on the balcony with Elodie in her arms and Adrian beside her. Waves whispered against the rocks. "Do you think we truly won?" she asked softly. Adrian's hand rested on her shoulder. "We didn't just win in court. We won against fear. And we kept our family." Amara looked at Elodie, her little hands reaching for the light. And she knew the past might return, might threaten, but it could never defeat a heart that dared to love. The lighthouse beam swept across the sea, then back, illuminating them. No darkness could ever consume them again.